Welcome to No Rules Review with your host,
Hey everybody,
Ethan Malay.
Ethan Malay here, and today we're going to be looking at Yinsh, one of the, wow that's loud, one of the gift series of games. This is by Chris Berm. This is the only game in the series that I have played. I believe it's pretty much held as maybe the most popular of the series. I think it's the highest ranked. It's a two-player abstract strategy game, which makes it sound dry as, can be, but it's a pretty decent game, and I'm hoping this review might make you give it a look-see, alright? Yinsh is a game in the line of things like chess and Go and other abstract strategy games. Abstract strategy just being, it's a two-player game, it's a strategic game, and there's not really a theme to it. They tend to be very thinky, they tend to be games that require a lot of plays to really sort of understand what's going on and to play them well. And that's where I think Yinsh sort of has a little advantage over something even so basic and well known as chess. If you imagine chess, there's all these pieces and they all have very distinct rules to them. And there are even more complicated rules like castling and stuff that to a casual player are hard to remember, hard to do, and sort of obfuscate the game as a whole. Yinsh is very simple. You have five, six. Man, you think I would remember how many rings you have? Excuse me while I look this up. Boy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see, that's at the center, right? You have 5 rings. You have 5 pieces, and they all act the exact same way. Your opponent has 5 rings, and they all act the exact same way, and you're just trying to both complete the same task. You want to create 5 pieces in your color in a row, and you want to do that 3 times. And that's it. And I know that sounds a bit like rules, but that's not rules. That's explaining what the game is about. So if anybody says, I thought it was no rules review, and that's rules, that's not rules. That's just what the game is about. So why don't we look with a little more detail into the actual game itself. So Yinsh comes with, as I said before, 5 rings for each player. That's probably super loud. My apologies in recording. And then all of these pieces that you see are white on one side, black on the other. And players are going to be putting these out on the board and moving their rings around to try to create patterns that match their color 5 in a row. Like I said, do that 3 times, you win. And here's the board. It's lovely. If I can get the whole thing. There's the rest of it. It's symmetrical. What makes Yinsh, like I said earlier, what makes Yinsh so interesting is that these are your playing pieces. They all act the same way. They all move the same way. As you complete those 5 in a row, you actually have to remove one of these to show that you've done that. So as you get better, as you're winning, you're actually getting more and more handicap because the other player has more pieces with which to move, and you have fewer actionable pieces. And that creates this dynamic where the games tend to be very close because one player might get 2 of their 5 in a row, but they're left with 3 rings to work with, and the other player has 5 to work with. So that makes it, I think, a very good game for both novice and experienced players. What also makes Yinsh so dynamic is that it's one of those games you're sitting there. Every game I play, you're sitting there and you're looking at the board and you just sit and you stare like this and you realize, oh my God, no. My opponent, if they make this move, they've won. And you sit there and you say, don't do it, don't see it. And your opponent is sitting there calm and coolly collected, looking like this. And you know that they figured it out. When in reality, this is what's going on with them. Oh my God, how am I going to stop them? They're going to win in their next move. What am I going to do? Oh my goodness, there's way more pieces of their color than mine. How is this possible? I thought we were playing a pretty decent game, evenly matched. So you see, it's a great game because it's very fluid. You don't tend to get sort of the stalemates that you might get in other abstract strategy games. You don't get this whole pieces sort of getting stuck. You will leave some of your rings in places to block opponents' moves because rings can't jump over other rings. But it's very dynamic. The board can fill up and then empty throughout the game, and so you have this nice changing state throughout the game. The rings themselves, as they get removed and as they clear out, when you get those 5 in a row, you actually remove those stones. So big swaths of the board can become super crowded and then boom, open up, and suddenly the rings can move in places they couldn't before. So that makes it great. Negatives. It's not the prettiest game, but it's an abstract strategy game. So if you're sitting down to play this, you are familiar with things like chess and Go. And I mean, those things, while classic and therefore a beauty within that classical nature. They're not very aesthetically pleasing most of the time, so this is, par for the course there. I don't think anybody's going to be turned off to this if they understand that they're sitting down for a battle of wits kind of game, if they're familiar with other abstract strategies. If you're taking somebody who has never played an abstract strategy game, yeah, there's not much to Yinsh that would make them be excited, but I've never had somebody play it who didn't really enjoy it and want to play again. And that's another bonus, as I go from bonus to negative to positive. It's very fast. It can take a while if people sit and spend 10 minutes contemplating their turn, but usually people I play with don't, so it can be a very quick game. It could be 15, 20 minutes. The box says 20 minutes on it, and that to me seems about right. And it's because of that fluid nature and how quickly the board changes and how people getting ahead allows the opponent to be able to have an advantage and then catch up. So it tends to get down very quickly to that last ring, both players competing over that last ring. And the fact that you're always adding to the board, so you can never remove things to hurt your opponent. You're flipping stones to hurt your opponent, but you're adding stones onto the board, creating more opportunities for them. So it's a really neat, good abstract strategy game. I recently did a review of another abstract strategy, Santorini. That would probably be my go-to in terms of getting just casual people to play. But if I want to play an actual gaming abstract strategy, Yinsh is the one I'd pull out at any time. And it just got reprinted, so that's great. It was commanding some crazy prices just a few months ago. If you've never tried it, I strongly suggest you give this one a look. It's a great game by Chris Berm. This has been Ethan Lay with another No Rules review. If you like what you saw today, share, like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Twitter, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye now.
This has been another No Rules review by Ethan Malay. If you enjoyed this video, consider sharing, commenting, liking, and most importantly, subscribing. For this and other great games, join us over on BoardGameGeek.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.